Africans need to apologize to African Americans. This is a hard sentence to say, but it is a necessary one. Because when we talk about the pain of the Middle Passage, the brutality of slavery, and the long fight for freedom in a strange land, we must also face a truth that is often avoided. Some African rulers, driven by greed, wealth, and survival in troubled times, played a role in selling their own people to foreign traders. This truth does not erase the massive violence of European slavery. It does not erase the guns, the raids, the kidnapping, the lies, and the force that Europeans used. It does not ignore the fact that Africa itself was suffering under colonial attacks, economic pressure, and political manipulation. But it recognizes that African Americans did not only suffer because of Europeans, they also suffered because some Africans betrayed them. For over 400 years, millions of Africans were captured across West and Central Africa. Some were taken through wars and raids encouraged and funded by European demand. Others were handed over by powerful African kings and merchants who believed the slave trade would bring them wealth or protect their kingdoms. When captured Africans arrived in the Americas, they found themselves in a world unlike anything they had ever known. They were not allowed to keep their languages. They were not allowed to practice their religions. Many were not allowed to keep their names. Their identities were erased so they could be controlled. They became property, bought, sold, beaten, forced to work until their bodies collapsed. In Africa, people were losing land, culture, and freedom under colonialism. But in the Americas, African Americans were losing even their humanity. Imagine being taken to a land where no one speaks your language, where no one sees you as human, where survival becomes your only mission. They were punished for speaking their mother tongues. They were whipped for practicing African spirituality. They were stripped of their original names and given new ones like Smith, Johnson, or Brown, names that had nothing to do with their ancestors or identity. Yet, they fought. They rebelled on plantations. They escaped through impossible routes. They built families even when those families could be torn apart and sold at any moment. They created new cultures, gospel, blues, jazz, soul, born from pain yet filled with power. They survived centuries of violence and still stood tall. Even after slavery ended in 1865, freedom did not come easily. Jim Crow laws tried to crush their progress. Lynchings and racial terror haunted them. They were denied homes, jobs, education, and the right to vote. Still, they rose. The civil rights movement forced America to face its own cruelty. Leaders like Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King Jr. fought with courage strong enough to reshape history. They fought in a land that never welcomed them, for rights they should have been born with, because the world had failed them from the beginning. And this is why Africans must apologize. Not because Africa alone caused their suffering, but because healing begins with honesty. African Americans are the children of a stolen heritage. Even though Africa also suffered under colonialism, it does not erase the fact that some African leaders participated in the trade that destroyed millions of lives. An apology is not weakness, it is respect. It is recognition. It is love. Africa must say, "We are sorry you were taken from your homeland. We are sorry you were sold into chains and left to suffer alone. We are sorry you were stripped of your names, cultures, and religions. We are sorry for the role some of our ancestors played in your suffering." These words cannot change the past, but they can change the future. African Americans did not just survive, they transformed their suffering into strength. They built new cultures, new communities, new movements, and new identities. Their survival is a miracle. Their resilience is a lesson. Their story is a reminder that even in the deepest darkness, the human spirit can still rise. And now, Africa must meet them with honesty, unity, and open arms, because healing can only begin when the truth is finally spoken out loud.